Do you have stories about your Wizards Unite community to share? Well, Niantic is looking to feature you. Welcome back to WizardPhD, it's Professor Lynette, and today we are talking about the Wizarding Spotlight, which is part of the community newsletter in Wizards Unite, where they want to feature stories from you, your community, and your experience playing the game. If you get emails from Harry Potter Wizards Unite, you might have noticed all the way at the bottom, Wizarding Spotlights. This one is from December with a cosplayer named Katie, and this is her story of playing Wizards Unite, sharing that she has found a community, meeting and playing, connecting with players, and finding her significant other. So each month, the team from Harry Potter Wizards Unite is looking to highlight specific stories, and I wanted to share some of my story that I shared with the team and encourage you to submit your own stories to Niantic Labs. I'll just give the summary of the information up front so that you have that and consider in the back of your mind as you're listening to the story that I submitted, but they are particularly looking for any story that you'd like to share, but have some potential prompts in case you want to start off thinking or brainstorming with others in your community. How do you meet other players in your neighborhood? Have you discovered any new or interesting places while playing the game? What have been some of your most memorable moments playing Wizards Unite? So those are just a few possible prompts to get you started. If you are interested in submitting your story, be sure to send the story, your codename, and any relevant photos to wizardingspotlight@nianticlabs.com. Some of y'all have already seen me talk about what Wizards Unite means to me, and I've seen a lot of your stories, especially started with the Wizards Guide, who launched the More Than Just a Game hashtag on Twitter. I've seen so many of your stories through that hashtag. I've seen stories on Facebook. I've seen stories on Reddit. I think that there's a lot of great stories out there with your personal experiences with the game that should be shared. Whether this game has helped you deal with anything that you're struggling with in your life, or, you know, engage a more healthy lifestyle, or just meet new people in your area, all of that, anything that is, I think, good for you as a human are some stories that I think should be shared. And just kind of putting that spotlight on not just the game, but how people connect with each other. Now, so the series finale of The Good Place was last night, and I watched it recently. So I'm in a super introspective, philosophical mood right now because The Good Place is all about philosophy and, you know, pondering about life's probably unanswerable questions, which is, of course, as you know, one of my favorite pastimes. So I have been thinking a lot, and I wanted to make this video to kind of get the word out there so that you can share your stories, but I'm particularly in a mood today, so if you could bear with me. Although it's been literally a dream to be a professor in real life and a professor in this game, in the wizarding world, and as a Potterhead myself, something about Wizards Unite that's important to me is that the game, in terms of the timing of it, really helped me get through probably the worst time of my life. I was diagnosed with lupus in April of 2019, and lupus is a chronic autoimmune disease where it's chronic, it never goes away. And autoimmune, my body basically attacks itself. So I have a very, very hyperactive immune system that I get flares that's triggered by a variety of factors, there's this combination of the environment, genetics, and hormones that it's one of the mystery diseases of it. People aren't, or doctors aren't quite sure exactly the cause of it or how it becomes triggered, because I mean, I went 29 years of my life without having any symptoms of lupus, and then all of a sudden I started having symptoms ranging from joint pain, muscle aches, fatigue, overheating, hair loss. So hair loss is a big thing for me right now, which is why I always wear hats. Part of it is from the lupus, part of it is from the medication I'm on. It's been definitely a very very long year of trying to figure out how to be a person, which is, it's rough when you have to like drop everything and deal with something, especially when it's something like your body betraying itself and not knowing what to do with that. Managing the disease just overall takes a lot of maintenance, a lot of care, and a lot of like me being sensitive to what I need. Okay, so I've told part of this story before, but Wizards Unite launched in June. And that was a very, very difficult time for me in my lupus like journey. So my treatment plan wasn't really effective. I was constantly in pain. I didn't think that I was going to make any of the trips that I was going on, and so basically I became, this is also part of it, is like letting go of who you used to be. But I used to be super independent and like overachiever, take charge, everything, and I couldn't do anything by myself, or that's what it felt like. I remember in the summertime, the first time that I hadn't driven in a while. Jeff was driving me around because I was just not able to, it was just a lot to drive by myself or to be the person driving, and I would get overwhelmed very easily. So I remember the first time I drove by myself in like months was to go to CVS and pick up medications, and it was like a super emotional moment for me. Things that I previously took for granted that I couldn't do anymore because of my condition and how my body was reacting and basically deteriorating. So I got to Fresno, and one of the first things I did when I moved here, so that was the other piece of it. Wizards Unite launched, and like everything in my life was happening. So I was like excited for this game. I got a new job, moved to a new state, into a new home, into a new house. And so all of that was super stressful. So like one of the first things that I did when I got here was have a kidney biopsy. And it revealed that my lupus was attacking my kidneys. And so then we had to do a whole other treatment plan. And so I was like super stressed out, which is not good for the disease at all. And it was also really hard because so moving to a new place, like I didn't know this area. I felt like I was just this outsider just navigating this new space, and also didn't really have any friends. So I was super depressed for most of the summer. But as someone covering the game, I made videos, I made content covering the game, and Wizards Unite was, it was a good distraction for everything else in my life. And it was also, it was good for that, but it wasn't like the fix all. It took a lot of work. And so that's basically the point that I want to make, is that it's not the technology itself, it's how we use the technology integrated with our already existing social structures. Like we as humans, as social beings needing other humans or needing social interaction, needing a variety of things, sharing space with each other, sharing moments with each other. And so it is more than just a game, because it's how it is used with people. And so, you could have the game and people could just play by themselves individually and never interact with each other. But to me, the game had opportunities to make those connections easier. As someone who didn't know anyone, really hardly anyone in the Fresno area, let alone finding people who have common interest or anything, that was really difficult. So one night, Aura, Jeffrey, and I had dinner at this shopping center that is actually the place that we play Wizards Unite the most. So all of the live streams are at this shopping center, but there are two fortresses in the middle of the center. And so we hopped in one, and then we noticed that the other one was glowing green. So we were just like walking around, wandering, and then we saw like a group of people just kind of like hovering with their phones. And so like we walked up to them, and it turns out they were playing Wizards Unite. And then we found out that they also played Pokemon Go. So we kind of figured this is a spot. They're playing both simultaneously. This must be a spot where people play, or, you know, this is a good spot in Fresno, which was also a difficult thing is, again, we don't know the area, we don't know where the places are. So that part was definitely essential, is finding the Pokemon Go or a Pokemon Go community and recognizing this is like where people regularly play, kind of trying to integrate ourselves. Because of course, like you have to put yourself out there, and that for me was the hardest part as someone who is like dealing with all this lupus stuff outside, not feeling normal. And it took a long time. It took a very long time for me to process what I was going through and then feel comfortable enough to be like, you know what, I'm gonna open myself to make friends. And I think people, especially people who deal with depression and anxiety and any other mental health issues, understands how difficult it is to pull yourself out. I mean, part of my issue was the medications I was on was having very psychological effects on me. But then there's another piece of it where I was in a depression and I didn't care. I didn't care about anything. And then there was this shift as I think honestly it was part of this like healing process. And the more that I was going through and trying to heal what I was going through, and having this game as this, you know, it was kind of like this force where it was like, we're attracting people, we have all these events, we have continued events, we're doing these events, and there's like faces that you're seeing over and over and over, and finally feeling some sort of sense of belonging in a place where I felt like I was never gonna find that. It's really fascinating to me because, and I said this in the community day video, like I was so excited for community day. I was like, yes, let's go. It's time to meet up with friends, because I felt like, okay, I have friends now. I have friends. We all love Harry Potter. We love Wizards Unite. We're excited to meet up with each other and just like goof around. And it's not just that I found people my own age or around my age, but there's also people way older than me, people way younger than me, and so that is not something that I would have ever expected from this game. I don't actually know what I expected from this game. I think part of it is that Pokemon Go was such a, you know, a transformation in terms of like this sort of like mobile gaming landscape, and especially with YouTubers, that I was just kind of expecting that. The Pokemon Go world is, you know, lots of travel, I mean, it's hype. I love it. It's great. And so for my experience with Wizards Unite, being at a time in my life of this is what I need. I just need something that grounds me, something where I literally just share space and time with other humans. I mean, when I first moved here, the people I saw more than once were a few of my coworkers. Work at a university, you're gonna see them a lot. But it was just doctors, like hospitals, doctors' rooms, waiting rooms. Like, it wasn't an instant thing. I mean, stuff like this takes time. It takes time in general to make connections with people, and it took time for me to process what I was going through and feel some sense of normality again, and that was all that I was looking for. And playing the game, I mean, it was one activity that was pretty regular, especially with the events. Like, I can't highlight these events enough. I know some months it was just like, wow, event. So I needed to be forced to be social and have these experiences and do these events, and whether I made a video or not, like that eventually became secondary. And now, actually, because I feel like a lot of pressure, like, oh, I gotta get this moment, or I have to live stream, or I have to do this. And now I've calmed down from that, because honestly, like, I really enjoy playing this game. I know that there's flaws and there's room for improvement, and sometimes I'm vocal about specific aspects of the game that I think can be improved, but overall I think that the experience has helped me, form social connections with other humans. And the more that I had these experiences, especially experiences where it wasn't about, oh, you have lupus. It was like, oh, hey, we're all doing this thing together, and we're all participating, and sometimes it's fun and competitive, and like, oh, look, Rich, for example, our buddy who's just like golds all the pages, and I'm like, dude, you're awesome. So, or just like one of us prestiging, we have like a Facebook chat that we keep going when we see cool things, and it's pretty nice. And so I have been pleasantly surprised that, one, my Wizards Unite experience was not what I was envisioning in my head before the game launched, and two, that it happened to be exactly what I needed. So yeah, just basically the story I sent in was like, this was my journey, and through the game I was able to find something stable at a time in my life where nothing seemed stable at all, and it was so overwhelming and so just like, I don't even know. I don't even know how to describe it. And especially the periods where, I recognized that when I was going through my depression that I wasn't talking about it. Not that I didn't want to talk about it. Of course I would want to talk about it. Y'all know me. I love to talk about everything. But just I did not care enough to talk about it because that's how it worked. But I'm hoping that for anyone who's dealing with anything, one, to know that you're not alone, and that's also a reason to share stories. I think I'm a firm believer of sharing stories as a way to connect with humans so that we each feel some sort of connection, that we're not alone. We go through similar things, and it's completely normal. I really love how the game kind of has this own, this own fandom. Like, I'm super into the fandoms that I'm into, or just, loving things that are created, like TV shows or whatever. But I love, of course, I love the storyline. I love how we can joke about this Tony dude, or how we have this Constance is sus crew that's going, and whoops. If we're all going to overthrow the Statute of Secrecy Task Force, so be it. But I love it. I love like the inside jokes. I love just the geekiness about it. And yeah, so basically Wizards Unite allowing me to integrate my silly, goofy self and be that just freely out in the open, and have this like aspect of my imagination or whatever be also realized as this, this is something that could be real. Like, we can all just be silly together and enjoy this time that we have together. So that's what Wizards Unite means to me. I've said some of these things before, but they still hold true, and I'm very grateful to continue playing this game and see how things unfold as I continue on my healing journey and dealing with the things that I deal with. And I really do hope that other people share, you share the experiences that you have with this game. For me personally, this month of January, with the theme being remembering light in the darkness, like, that is the perfect summary of, I think, my whole processing. So I'm speaking now as someone who, in my opinion, I'm on the other side of something that was like really holding me back, just like being in that space and during that time. And so I really hope that all of us find that light in whenever we're in any period of darkness. And for me, being part of the Wizards Unite community has been a light. And I just hope to cling on to it a little bit longer. And if I ever go back to moments of darkness or periods of darkness, that I continue to find that light, especially with this community. And another point that I want to make is that I think that everyone's stories are valuable. Like, I don't want people to feel like, oh, like I don't deal with the chronic illness, or like it doesn't need to be something big. Like everyone has their stuff, and everyone has things that, you know, periods in your life or just aspects that this game can just bring people joy and just be another fun thing, and that's awesome. Or this game can be another way to help people be more active and walk around, or whatever it is. Again, the point is just to share so that it resonates with others, so that people are like, yeah, let's celebrate each other. And I think that's the point of Wizarding Spotlights. It's not necessarily to be all flashy or be like, oh, look at me, as most things on the internet tend to be, but it's just another space to share stories, and that's all. So if you're interested, again, to share your stories for the Wizarding Spotlight, anything that is applicable to the game or how you have been experiencing the game, please send your story to Niantic Labs. We have Wizarding Spotlight at nianticlabs.com, along with your code name, any photos, and hopefully I'll see you in a newsletter. Oh, and until next time, Wands ready.